What's up, y'all? This is John and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. So what we're doing tonight, a little bit different. It is bye week. If you notice, we're doing 2 episodes this week. Main reason, if we're being entirely honest, is I have stretched myself way too thin between taking on a larger role at work and doing watch parties for away games and going to the home games. And I just enjoyed not having to get someone to do an interview with for this week, and then write an outline and then keep in touch. And, like it was just nice being able to come home and not work for a couple of days. Um, so, but I am ready to get back into it. Honestly, not talking about football except for with my coworkers for a couple of days is it was weird. I'm not used to it. Um, But all right, so what we're doing this week is we're doing an updated 12-team playoff prediction for uh, myself, Caleb, and Mike, and then we are going to break down a little bit of games, or the really the only big games of the week. There's not a lot, but there are some interesting matchups, and yeah, man, we're ready to get into it. But I do have to let y'all know that if you're not live with us tonight on Millions, you're missing out because we are able to interact. If you have questions, I keep an eye on the comment section. But you can do that on YouTube on Sundays, audio everywhere else, away games at the Rock House on Tybee, Fridays at 6:15 on Rock 106.1, and both Mike and I write articles now for Fans First Sports Network. So the argument I made about Georgia's win over Tennessee being the most impressive of the season, I was actually able to articulate that a little bit better because it wasn't a spur of the moment thought. Um, and did some stats and digging in on that. So that's out there. If you want to check that out, I would appreciate it. But man, how you been? What are you drinking?
I have been good. Those of you who were listening last season as well, might remember that I'm kind of an emo kid at heart. And back in 2005, around this time, there was an album released by a band called Acceptance, and the album was called Phantoms. And they just released the 20th anniversary edition of that album, re-recorded every song with some special guests on just about every songs with, some of my other favorite bands like, The Maine and Anne Berlin and some of the bands I listen to on a regular basis. The violinist from Yellow Card gets thrown into a song. It's just great stuff that made me very happy. Listened to it earlier while I was playing disc golf, and I enjoyed it so much that I accidentally threw my disc into what appeared to be a horde of thousands of mosquitoes. So I probably got malaria, so it's been nice knowing you. But that was good. The mosquitoes not so much, but the album was very good. So I've been enjoying myself, and I'm drinking a little what I like to call Baptist communion wine.
Is it grape juice?
It is just grape juice. I like bringing something different every time I get on here, and that was what we had in the house. So, how are you?
Good. I'll be honest, man. So my boss took the entire company on some charter fishing trips yesterday. We had a little company fishing tournament. That's what I did for
Ooh,
work on Wednesday. It was awesome. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Got some sheep's head in the fridge ready to cook at some point this weekend.
yes.
Um, but being on a boat for 6 hours, just directly in the sunlight, it drained me a lot more than I thought it would have. So today I got off work and spent most of the afternoon between then and now just trying to not fall asleep. Um,
Fair enough. That sun can just hit and drain all the life out of you.
and my problem is if I take a nap, I'm one of those people that I just won't sleep tonight. Like 5 minute nap means no sleep that night.
Hmm.
It's awful. So I had to do that. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that we didn't record last night because I would have been just not ready for an interview. But ton of fun. Like I said, I'm really excited about cooking some sheep's head this weekend. But you ready to get into 12 team playoff? Oh, by the
Yeah,
way,
let's do. Oh,
I'm drinking water. That was the whole thing.
ah,
Um, Slightly sunburnt, very dehydrated still. Drinking some water.
gotcha. Got a sober episode tonight, which might be for the best since we're doing some deep discussions that have to stay internally consistent.
Yes. I will also say part of the dehydration is I was determined to catch something yesterday, even if that was a buzz.
Fair enough.
Uh, yeah. So, 12 team playoff. And just for context on the episode, what we're doing is we're running through 1 through 4, the 5 through 12 matchups, and then we're doing context at the end. So we're going to get all the way through it, and then I'm going to go through my reasoning. Caleb has any questions, he'll let me know. Anybody in the live chat that has questions, let me know, and we're going to roll through it that way. But my number one team, I've got the University of Georgia.
What a
Probably not a
surprise.
surprise. Probably not. And then as number two, what is a surprise, I have Florida State.
Mm,
Uh, Number three, Ohio State. Number four, Oklahoma. For the 12 at 5 matchup, I have Tulane going to Eugene, and
mm.
just a lot of green. Some waves, some ducks, ton of green. The next matchup, I've got Texas Tech going to the North Avenue Trade School.
Oh,
Yeah. If you don't know the Georgia Tech slander, that is Georgia Tech. Uh, Next one, number 10, Miami going to number 7, Mizzou.
mm.
Lots of block letters, and just, Carson Beck can attempt to lose to Mizzou. And in the last matchup, we got number 9, Texas A&M, and number 9 was the spot I struggled with the most.
Same.
Uh,
Honestly,
and
same.
then at 8, I have Penn State. And so, like, obviously during our context sections, it's going to be easy for us to explain why 9 was the most difficult spot. But for me, it's because I reasoned it with, like, all right, so Georgia beats Oklahoma in the SEC title game. Georgia, obviously, number one, undefeated, SEC champion here. Florida State, they drop one somewhere, but they beat Georgia Tech in Charlotte. Cool, easy.
Fair
And then
enough.
Ohio State loses, gets the bejesus beat out of them by Michigan.
Fair.
So on and so forth. But then it was like 9. The number 9 team is a team that will not have played in a conference title game,
Hmm.
more than likely. So then we're talking about the best of the rest, and then you go, all right, here's the number 3 in each of these conferences. Notre Dame's not making the playoff this year.
No.
So who's the best number 4? Is where you get to with number 9, and that's, probably just a personal thing. But um, so Florida State importantly gets in after winning the ACC because they actually have a quarterback this year.
Yeah.
Unlike 2023, with no quarterback, you don't get into the playoff.
Yeah.
And so Ohio State, the reasoning, obviously they lose to Michigan, but because they're the best team ever constructed after losing to Michigan, they just blow out Oregon in
Fair.
the Big Ten championship game.
Explains why you have Oregon losing the first round bye there.
Yes, because you can't beat Ohio State after the week, like right after they lose to Michigan. Ohio State's unbeatable, except
Yeah.
for Georgia in the Peach Bowl. So I have Texas Tech winning the Big 12, but two losses on the regular season.
Makes sense.
I just the Big 12 is one of those conferences where, in really the 11 spot, I think is insert two-loss Big 12 champion.
Fair.
Whether that's Arizona State, BYU, Utah's looking really good at this point, Texas Tech, Iowa State, who somehow just continues to win games with the least impressive offensive and undefeated team in the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. Any
Uh,
of them could win it, but whoever it is will go 10 and do it best.
right. And they'll get in at the 11 spot because there's no designated spots for conference champions anymore.
Mm.
Um, I do have Georgia Tech losing to Florida State in Charlotte, but that's their only ACC loss. And that's why they get in over Miami.
I'll
Because,
talk about it a little in mine. Like I did so many different things with Georgia Tech before looking at their schedule. I just kind of put a record on there. And then I was like, let me look at their schedule. Oh,
mm,
they've got nobody
that's
until Georgia.
quite literally almost identical to what I did. Uh,
Yeah.
it, because it's like, yeah, they're going to have two losses. One's going to be to Georgia. And I'm not
Mhm.
even 100% sure about that. But then
Yeah.
who do they play in the ACC title game? Because Brent Key will almost assuredly get it'll be a bad press conference if he loses to one of the 5-7, 4-8 teams in the ACC on their schedule this year.
Yeah.
Um, so then I have Miami losing to Florida State, but that's enough to keep them out of Charlotte because Georgia Tech does not lose an ACC game this season.
Yeah. So you've got Miami 11 and 1 as well, but down at
Yes,
10.
but yes,
Okay.
uh,
Mainly a strength of schedule thing, I assume.
mainly a strength of schedule thing, and I think the more context we get on the wins that they have and the wins that they will have is going to just make their strength of schedule worse week by week.
Fair. College
Uh,
football playoff committee did say they're taking strength of schedule into account from now
right, and they have some sort of actual quantifiable stat
on.
on that.
Yeah.
Not sure. I would love to know what it is because strength of schedule is different on every platform you look at. Um, but very interesting there. So I have Mizzou as the number 3 team in the SEC, and so here's the reason: is Mizzou ranked 23rd right now? Sure. Should Mizzou be significantly higher? I believe Mizzou is a top 10 team.
Oh,
Why
there's an argument.
Illinois is is as unimpressive as they are in the top 10, while you have Mizzou blowing out everybody, getting down early against Kansas, and then making it look like Mizzou just showed up a quarter late to the
Yeah.
game. Like,
I heard
here,
someone today say something like, "I'm not too sure about Missouri because it was a they had a tough time with Kansas. Like they didn't really. They did for a quarter.
yeah, and then I guess Bo Perbula is one of those guys that he needs half a concussion and a sprained
Yeah,
ankle to play well.
put him
But
in with Haynes King and Gunnar Stockton and Tommy Castellanos and whoever else just needs to get banged up before they're ready to go."
yeah, but going into Mizzou's schedule for the rest of the season, here's the teams that they're playing that are currently ranked. They have 5 games, and I will go through it. But they have 5 ranked matchups left on the season. 3 of those are away games, and if Mississippi State, and I know people are still down on Mississippi State, they have been extremely impressive this year.
Mm-hmm.
If Mississippi State wins one more game, I don't care who the opponent is, it's going to be really difficult to keep a 4-0 team out of the rankings.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the AP poll because, obviously Florida can lose to USF and move up 2 spots.
Hey,
But
I've got them in my nothing finer poll ballot. Just saying.
I do too. I,
Yeah.
I had them in mind. I had them ahead of Arizona State because
Well,
you
I mean, they
beat
beat
Arizona
them, but
State, you deserve to be ahead of them. That's how this should work.
no,
Uh,
that makes too much sense. We got to factor in all these other, like for how many stars their athletes have next to their names from journalists and stuff like that.
so Mizzou schedule, they have Alabama at home the same day Georgia plays Auburn.
Mm,
They go to Auburn a week later.
okay.
They go to Vanderbilt the week after that, a ranked Vanderbilt team.
Yeah.
And then they do have a bye week before Texas A&M comes to town. the week after that, Mississippi State. The week after that, in Norman. The week after that, just a light, real easy finishing rivalry week
Yeah.
against Taylor Green and the Arkansas Razorbacks. That
Right.
could also very much be ranked by that point.
Yeah. Now I will say that the ranked teams and the number of ranked teams looks pretty tough. But of the ranked matchups you could have in the SEC, and especially with the ones you get at home versus the ones you get away,
Yes,
like it is doable for Missouri to get through this.
it is absolutely doable. It is doable, but it is still impressive based on what we've seen from these teams the first three
Right.
weeks. Um, so I have Mizzou in there, and but I do think they dropped the game in Norman and
There.
potentially the game against Alabama to keep them out of Atlanta for what would be their third attempt to win the SEC since the last time Tennessee made it to that game.
Wouldn't be us if we didn't take a shot at Tennessee in here.
Absolutely not. And then, so we kind of talked about it earlier. I got A&M as the number 4 team in the SEC, and they get got by two of these games: Auburn, Mississippi State, Arkansas, LSU, or Mizzou. They lose two.
Fair.
If I had to lean one direction or the other, I'm gonna say they probably lose to LSU and Mizzou. I think are the two that get them,
Hmm.
and that's how Mizzou is ahead of them in the standings.
Fair. So you would
Um,
have Mizzou or LSU in this scenario still drop like three at least.
yes, mainly because as far as I have seen so far, boy, their offense still doesn't know it's football season. Uh,
Facts.
they have a good offensive line and good running backs, and they're like, what are we gonna do? Hey, what's that Mike guy do in Athens? Bubble screen? Yeah, I like that.
Without the
I
right
just
personnel for it, like we've got in Athens.
um but a big thing that I think loses A&M those two games is Marcel Reed has a rocket arm.
Yeah.
But he went 17 and 37 last week, and that's not with tight windows. That inaccuracy will lead to interceptions in the SEC. For Penn State, man,
They're Penn State.
they're Penn State. They're losing to Oregon and Ohio State, maybe even Nebraska. But here's the thing: they're ranked number 2 right now. They're getting into the playoff. They'll host a home game
Mhm.
unless they absolutely just puke on their shoes in that Nebraska game. The rest of their schedule they could sleepwalk through, and it's disgusting that Penn State's ranked that high with no offense against three teams that shouldn't even be considered competition at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but hey, we unlike us, the AP poll and media refuse to give up their preseason takes. Uh,
Yeah.
so
That's true. They don't change with the times, do they? What's regular season record do you have for Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, um, I think I got them at 11-1, losing to Bama
Okay,
and Tuscaloosa.
fair. I'd
That's
probably
that's the line.
losing to Alabama at Alabama and losing to Georgia in the SEC championship is probably good enough for a first round bye. I can agree with that.
I think both of them are going to be tight. Like, I don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. As skeptical as I was about John Mateer in the preseason, and if you listen to the show, I didn't say he couldn't do it. I said I haven't seen him do it against good competition. I
Hmm.
reserve judgment. And then I saw him do it against good competition, and I
And you
was
changed your opinion.
immediately sold and bought all of the stock.
Yeah.
So I'm very high on John Mateer, and think that both the at Alabama game and the play in Georgia in Atlanta are very tight. Very,
Yeah.
very tight.
That's fair. I do think all of us kind of jumped into the John Mateer hype. I'm going to go buy myself a John Mateer tractor. That's how much I appreciate what John Mateer is doing down in
Please do.
Oklahoma. Has anyone done that? If game day goes to Norman this year, someone needs to make a John Mateer tractor. That's just that maroon color.
I was gonna say Red River Rivalry, uh, but
Oh, that would be good
at
too.
the at the same time, um,
The way Texas is playing,
yeah, like we're
who
talking about
knows?
arch picks and a kind that you are not as well. You're ashamed to show your kids. unless you're laughing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I don't have anything to ask about. That all seems fairly straightforward. Did the chat have anything to say?
No questions. So
Okay,
we
cool.
will we will keep rolling.
Yeah, again, yours was fairly straightforward. I will jump into mine. I've also got Georgia as my number one seed, Ohio State as my two. I've got Miami as my three, Oregon as my four. And then for the 12 versus 5 matchup, Utah will be going to Baton Rouge in Death Valley.
All
Florida
timer.
State, yeah. I've got a little bit of an ACC bracket here with Florida State going to play at historic Mark Richt Field at Bobby Dodd Stadium to take on Georgia Tech. If you weren't aware who I was talking about, those of you listening. 10-7 is going to be Oklahoma going to College Station and likely a playoff whiteout to take on Penn State. And then I've got USF, the 9th seed, heading over to Knoxville, Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Volunteers. So just, again, for the context, I've got Georgia winning the SEC as well. I do have them losing to Alabama in the regular season
You can just
just
say
on
losing to
principle.
that team this
Okay,
week.
yeah. Losing to that team out west.
You don't even have to say that. Just that team. We all know who that
That
is.
okay, yeah. We know who we're talking about. Yeah. So we lose to somebody. And if I will say, if we do win that game, get ready for me to say some very stupid things on this podcast.
Oh yeah, like we will not be contained on
No.
Sunday. The first 5 minutes may just be us scream laughing and
Yep.
cussing.
And declaring Gunnar Stockton the Heisman Trophy winner, even if he goes 10 for 40 without a touchdown and two interceptions.
100% accurate.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I do think though at that point, past that game, they pretty much coasted the rest of their schedule apart from Georgia Tech, which is going to give us a fight whether we like it or not. Ohio State, just like you, I have them losing to Michigan just like normal, but still winning the win 10, Big 10. But I think their late loss and that other team. Oh, actually, I took that other team out of this playoff bracket.
Good.
So, but their late loss, the lateness of the loss is what puts Georgia ahead of them despite having the same record, in my opinion. I've got Oregon going undefeated in the regular season, like last year, but they lose in the Big Ten championship game to Ohio State. Miami, I think I changed this to. I made so many changes to this and forgot to actually make the changes in my context. I've actually got this is supposed to say Miami beats Florida State in the regular season, but gets upset by either Louisville or Syracuse somewhere along the way. And then they beat Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. Georgia Tech, of course, is in it because their schedule is easy as pie. Florida State takes a
And
second regular
importantly,
season.
we've discredited Georgia Tech's schedule. They're gonna have two games that are important. They took care of business in one of them, being Clemson.
Yep.
I understand that Clemson is not as good as they normally are. I truly believe that Clemson is going to finish this season 10-2 and having like they're going to try and make an argument for the playoff.
Right.
They they won't have a legitimate one, but they're going to try to make one
They'll try.
at
They will
10-2.
try.
Georgia Tech
Um,
still beat them, and then Georgia Tech is obviously giving us a fight, which we both already said.
yes. So that will definitely get Georgia Tech in there. Florida State's other regular season loss, I've got them losing in fake Death Valley at Clemson. So they'll be 10-2, but sneak in there at the 11 seed. Penn State does a Penn State, loses their only two big games, but they'll still get in the playoff because people love Penn State. And then I have changed my mind about multiple group of five teams getting in purely because none of them have shown me that they're good enough to stick around except USF.
Whoa,
Um,
Tulane beat your bandwagon team.
yeah, but that's doesn't really say a whole lot, does it?
I think Tulane may actually have two power wins so far this season. And they're
That's
playing
and
Ole Miss this weekend and have a
yeah,
chance for a third.
that's true. They might get back into my next prediction if we do this again, if that happens. I
Um,
do still think the Big 12 cannibalizes itself enough this season that the automatic conference champion bids are the only reason a Big 12 team gets in. So 10-3 Utah gets in over 9-3 Texas, who angrily demands that we ditch that conference champion rule. And then the only reason that USF gets ranked where they are is a similar thing with number 9. I had trouble with the matchups. I didn't think the college football playoff committee would have Oklahoma and Tennessee play in Knoxville for the second time in the same season.
That's
Um,
fair.
Florida State is ranked below both of them because their losses are Oklahoma and Tennessee's rather losses are either to playoff teams or teams on the bubble, and Clemson certainly doesn't describe either of those. And Alabama, Texas, and Mizzou all go 9-3 and just barely miss out.
Um, to clarify, Tulane now they do have two power wins so far this season. One of those is Northwestern.
Yeah, okay.
So, but they did beat Northwestern by 20 points.
Okay, that's mildly impressive.
And then South Alabama actually played them tighter than Northwestern or Duke.
Yes, they did.
But as we talked about, Tulane's going to uh, Ole Miss this weekend and has a few other should be very good tight games this year.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet they're the team facing USF in the American Championship. I probably looking at this would have if they were in separate conferences still included both of them.
Yeah. It
But since they are in the same conference, only one of them is going to go.
and so what cracks me up is there's a lot of people who are still on the UNLV hype train. And
Yeah, they are.
they just obviously looked at the names and the coaches and have
Yeah.
not paid attention to the
So what
games.
happens in the games?
Uh-huh.
Like, yeah, they've
Because
won them technically.
right. Yes, they beat UCLA. I think we could get 9 of our listeners with you and I and beat UCLA at this point.
We could train 22 hamsters to beat UCLA at football.
Accurate. A lot of 15-yard penalties for biting, but it's okay. Um, yeah, like UNLV, like I understand their argument. I do. I made it. I championed it all off season. But I've watched the games. I've watched the tape. I am no longer a fan of that argument
Yeah, fair
this
enough.
year. I do think UNLV is going to be in that conversation from here on out. They're who their coach is, but this year they ain't it.
No, they ain't it. And chances are they will be in the conversation knowing Dan Mullen until about week 8, week 10.
Oh, for
And
sure.
then they'll lose some game they shouldn't.
Yeah. All right. So getting into Mike's playoff prediction, he does have. I guess you can't take the Big Ten out of the boy because he's got Ohio State at number 1
And Oregon at number 2.
and Oregon at number 2.
That what this doesn't and he didn't help provide any context, which is just so unhelpful because
He
like
sure
what
didn't.
happens here? What happens to make this happen? Is this like an October overtime championship game between two undefeated teams? Like we don't know.
All right, Mike. We'll need that context on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just like a little. Hey, here's my thought process, and I wasn't thinking is also an option.
Yeah.
All right, but he
Fair
does have
option.
Georgia at 3, Florida State at 4, and for the 12-5 matchup, he has USF at Miami.
The winner of that game
They're,
takes on Florida State. So we got a little Florida bracket in here that
yes,
obviously
yes,
the
we do.
University of Florida is not in.
11-6, he's got Georgia Tech at LSU, which would
Would be
also
fun.
it would be so fun. 10-5, he has Utah at Penn State.
10-7 as a correction.
Okay, I as soon as that came out of my mouth, I thought it was weird.
Yeah. 10-7.
10-7 is Utah at Penn State, and the 9-8 is Illinois at Oklahoma. So confirmed.
Illinois is going to Indiana their way into this playoff is what I'm seeing.
Confirmed. Mike is he's a sleeper agent. He
Yeah, for the
is
Big Ten.
just a Big Ten homer.
Yeah, he's got 4 Big Ten teams and 3 SEC teams.
I will say, we actually had to change it for Mike because he actually put Michigan at number 1 and number 2. We obviously had to change that. That's not true. I know for whatever reason people take everything we say as 100% fact.
By the way, guys, when I put Ricky Bobby's voice over Gunnar Stockton's interview, I'm not trying to manipulate AI to slander Gunnar Stockton's reputation. I don't know who needs to hear that, but it's a lot of you, and it's concerning to me.
Yes. Also, I just realized that I was using a shaker cup to drink out of, and this ball is probably making a ton of noise. So I apologize. I am done with my water, so we won't have that issue anymore. That's on me.
I didn't hear anything, in fairness. So,
The last time I put it down, I watched the sound, like the waveform,
okay.
and
So
it bounced.
somebody with really nice headphones is probably going to hear it. I don't keep mine up too high.
All right. So, now that we've confirmed that Mike's a sleeper agent, we are going to pick some games. There are some interesting matchups this week. We're not doing full breakdowns, but we got Auburn at Oklahoma. Oklahoma 7-point home favorite, over under 47. In this one, I just have too much confidence in Oklahoma's defense,
Yeah,
and John Mateer's got that dog in him.
yeah. I didn't make this a best bet, but if you get the opportunity, lay the points, lay
Yes,
them.
absolutely. Especially if that line goes down in Auburn's favor a little bit, take
Yeah,
that to the bank. And now, could I see this? Like, I actually do see this being right around that 47. Like, whether
yeah,
it's like 30-17, something like that. Like, I do think Auburn's going to score. I do think Jackson Arnold is better at Auburn than he was at Oklahoma. We made sure that this context was known all offseason and during the last season. Jackson Arnold wasn't bad because he wasn't a good quarterback. He was bad because they were down their top five wide receivers and top three running backs by the end of week two.
yeah,
Like it had a lot more to do with the health of the team than it did his ability. And we see that in the way that he just refused to lose the Alabama game. Uh,
yep.
he is still very talented. This year, he does have a phenomenal group of wide receivers to throw to. He's got a better offensive line to play behind. He has better running backs. That's why Auburn is doing well. But at the end of the day, you still have John Mateer and Brent Venables and a quarterback and offensive coordinator and Ben Arbuckle that have been together for years now at home.
Yeah.
So I do think Auburn's a good team. It's going to be a shame when losing this game gets them completely out of the rankings, but somehow Oklahoma jumps 4 or 5 spots because
Hmm.
they beat a team that's now unranked. The math don't math there.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot this season so
Uh
far.
huh.
And yeah, the consistency there. If this team's going to jump 8 spots because they beat this team, then that team needs to not fall out of the rankings for losing to them.
And if Tennessee is not going to drop, Georgia should go up more than one spot.
Yes,
Just
absolutely. Above an LSU team that we've agreed hasn't beaten anyone good because you're just not Clemson out of the rankings.
Georgia scored more points against Tennessee in Neyland than LSU scored against Louisiana Tech at LSU.
Yeah, more than their offense has scored, I think, in every game combined, or
Yeah.
almost as much.
Mm-hmm.
It's close. I can bring it up and say that it's close for that. I haven't done the math.
17. No, they've definitely scored more because they got to
It's
20 last week.
well,
So
their offense did, and they got a pick six.
that's very true. So if we're taking 7 points off of that, give me just a second.
Did any defensive touchdowns happen against Louisiana Tech?
Um, all right, you go through your pick, and
Yeah,
I will get this.
yeah, I have to agree. I've been impressed by Auburn's improvement over what they were last season, but I'm still not super impressed by them as a team. I think they've escalated from okay to good. I don't think they're necessarily a threat in the SEC, but they are going to get somebody this year, and I hope it's not us. And it could be Oklahoma if the Jackson Arnold revenge game thing is what people say it is. But right now, I just trust Oklahoma to win this game more. They've been putting everything on John Mateer, and he's been delivering. Eventually, he has a tendency to make the occasional mistake, and that mistake is usually catastrophic, and occasionally that's going to cost them a game that they shouldn't lose. But I don't think this is that week. I think that they pick it up and just continue riding high. So yeah, I like Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma to cover. I like you don't really want to touch the team total just because it sounds about right to me.
So LSU has scored more through 3 games, their offense, than Georgia did last week by 12 points.
At 12 points. So not much.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, not good.
hmm
Uh,
That's James Coley levels of
it really is with a
yeah.
significantly more talented offense than Georgia
Yeah.
had when James Coley was running the show as well. But while we're speaking of bad offense, Florida
Yep.
going to Miami. Somehow Miami, between Sunday and Thursday evening, they're still 7.5 point favorites. I don't understand how it's that
How
low.
is all the money on planet Earth not gone to Miami in this game?
Well, I put money on Miami when y'all talked about it on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Legitimately, mid show, put money on Miami.
Yeah.
Um,
As you should have.
Over under 51. I will say I like the under in this one, and y'all know me. If
Mm.
I if I don't, life's too short. Bet the over. Except Florida's offense has allowed like what is it? 16, 13, 29 points. Florida's offense allowed 29 points through 3 games.
Defense, you mean?
Yep. Yep. Defense.
Their offense ain't scoring much more. If you count out the LIU, it's
Correct.
not much.
So Florida's defense is legit. The problem is
Yeah.
their offense is awful. And
hmm
even last week in a close game, and I know I've gone back and forth on what their offense game plan was last week because did they need to let it rip a little bit against LSU to score points and to get the fan base back on Billy's side? Sure. But when you have Jaden Ball and that offensive line and the run game's working and you have your quarterback throw 5 interceptions, it it's not there. It's not.
Yeah. Clearly.
Billy, if he isn't fired after the Texas game, which I'm fairly certain he will be, I will start to feel bad for Florida fans because
Yeah. And I hate doing it, but yeah. But he's really good at getting apparently really talented quarterbacks that don't pan out to play for his team. It's
I
almost
mean
like he's the common denominator.
that while that is a fair statement, I think he's actually even better at overhauling the nutrition program and hiring assistant coaches that serve no purpose.
That's fair
I
because
think
he
he
calls all the
has.
plays. He's got the Waffle House menu.
I'll be honest, man. I think he between coaches, coordinators, staffers, analysts, I think he has an average of 4 coaches he's hired, or people within the coaching staff is probably a better way to say it. I think he has 4 members of the coaching staff per win at Florida
Yeah,
because
I
that would just be 80.
yeah, I don't have the numbers, but that probably.
Um, so yeah, I mean Miami's obviously winning this one. I like the under just because of how good Florida's defense is, and we have watched Carson Beck play against a worse defense at Florida.
Yeah, I was gonna say there is a path. There is a path to Florida winning this game. I don't trust Billy Napier to take that path, but there is a
No,
path.
he could have GPS written down instructions and still make a wrong turn.
Yep, that's Sunbelt Billy for you.
Uh,
He won the Sun Belt once in his 4 times trying, so he's a really good coach, guys. Trust me.
I mean, I understand what they were thinking hiring him because
Oh, that
he
makes
did
fun of
work.
us.
I mean, he did work for Saban. He did recruit players to Louisiana, which is not an easy thing to do. He did dominate on offense, but at the same time, Florida tried the thing of a coach that just didn't have the resources here to win somewhere else. And now
hmm
they've fallen so far behind even further than when Dan
Yeah,
Mullen was there. Like, what is your choice? You're gonna have to get a coordinator and hope it works out
yeah.
because
That's about the best they've got.
yeah, you're not poaching somebody from a school. And the name Brent Key has been floated around a number of times. If Brent Key makes a playoff at Georgia Tech this year, he will
He's
die in Atlanta.
yeah. They're gonna offer him whatever he wants. Coca
Exactly.
Cola is gonna fork over all the money.
All right. Speaking of forking over all the money, just these segues are hitting tonight. Texas Tech with an allegedly $40 million roster this year at Utah. Utah's a 3-point favorite. One thing that I love to throw out with these close lines is the home team gets 3.5 points in college football,
Yeah.
which means it would essentially be a pick 'em with a neutral site game. But over under on this one is 56.5. And Utah is a perplexing team this year
Mm-hmm.
because they struggle in first halves. And then in the second half, it seems like they just say, screw it, we ball, and put up 40
2023
points in the
Georgia.
second half. Yeah, yeah. First half, rough. Second half, nobody can beat them.
Yeah.
But the problem is Texas Tech is a sound football team. Texas Tech does have a good quarterback. They do have good wide receivers. They do have good offensive line. They do have good running backs. Primarily the running game, I think, is what they're going to lean on here to go in. I think they're going to beat Utah, but I do think they go in to the mountains, and I think they just lean all that $40 million worth of talent on Utah. And it's a dirty, nasty, old school Utah game
Mm.
where it's like a 21-18 kind of just disgusting field goal could win it, but Texas Tech does kind of game. So I'm going to take the under. I don't know where 56.5 is coming from,
Yeah.
but I like the under and I like Texas
Yeah.
Tech.
That is the quintessential big noon nooner, and this is the big noon nooner this week. So
What is that? A 9 or 10 a.m. kickoff in
it
Utah?
would be 10 a.m. in Utah. Yeah, they're in that mountain time. Yeah, they
Fox really
both
does hate college football.
golly, yeah, they do. And these two teams are really hard to understand because all they've done is feast on cupcakes so far. At yet UCLA and Oregon State are cupcakes.
Yep, I was about to say that.
Yeah, I would assume the reason Utah is ranked slightly higher is because they've played two of their cupcake games on the road. Texas Tech has only been at home, so this is actually Texas Tech's first road game this year. UCLA was actually supposed to be our road cupcake game, Utah, but whatever. The matchup in this game that I'm really interested in is Utah's got a very dynamic rushing attack, it would seem. They're currently averaging just short of 300 yards a game on about 6 yards a carry, again, and they're playing against a pretty good rushing defense this time. Both of these teams have solid but not world-beating passing attacks, solid to elite running games. I am going to give the slight edge to Utah in this one because while these teams just seem so close together to me, despite Texas Tech's $40 million roster, they've managed to equate to Utah in my book. Utah just kind of has the pedigree to win these kinds of games, and sometimes that's what makes the difference. Ask Tennessee. But it also would not shock me at all if Texas Tech comes out on top. These are very, again, just another case of the Big 12 just being full of very even teams and sort of cannibalizing itself throughout the season.
Yeah. Speaking of cannibalizing itself, South Carolina at Mizzou. And we're specifically talking about the South Carolina offensive line just allowing Lenore Sellers to get his ass beat week in and week
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. He's listed as questionable for this game, by the way.
Yeah, shortly before we came on, Shane Beamer came out and said it's trending in the right direction for Lenore Sellers to play.
See,
And this is
that just stinks to me if he wants Mizzou's defense to prep for Lenora Sellers.
and here's my concern is that he got like Chua's first concussion at the Dolphins
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. And a
It's
week
not.
later, they're expecting him to play after traveling halfway across the country. Because South
Yeah.
Carolina, very far east, Mizzou, fairly close to the middle of the country. Uh, and
I would
play,
like to think Shane Beamer cares more about his players than to let him play. And hopefully this is
well,
just a let them practice against it so they waste their time play. But we don't know. And
hot
that's the
take.
thing.
I actually, I got blocked by a South Carolina page today because Um, they got real mad and they were like, I don't even know what they said. And I said, y'all should be more mad at Shane Beamer than you are at Vanderbilt's players for that targeting call or the refs for
Hmm.
allegedly missing it. And it was a questionable call. But I was like, because Shane Beamer's inability to recruit offensive line or develop offensive line is the reason that your quarterback keeps getting hurt, is the reason that you have to continue to rely on refs making the right or wrong calls to win football games, going back to
Hmm.
LSU last year. Like, it's pretty simple. You get some giants from the swamps of South Carolina or
Yeah.
Augusta or any of these places that are close by that make giants and protect your quarterback that you allegedly spent over $4 million on this offseason.
Yeah.
Like it, because right now you have a few $1 million injury risk because of your offensive line. And to be fair, Mizzou is going to feast
Oh yeah.
entirely on South Carolina. Multiple former Georgia edge rushers on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
We've already
These dudes
seen
know
what
how to
Mizzou
play
can do.
physical.
Yeah, we've already seen what Mizzou can do against the team that plays football like South Carolina, except for Kansas had better receivers.
Hmm.
So, like I wish this was a slightly lower spread, but I still,
Yeah. If it was 7.5, I'd take it in a heartbeat.
if it was 9.5,
Yeah.
like I do think Mizzou wins, and I will call them to cover this game because I have just been thoroughly unimpressed by what South Carolina has presented this season, both in the pass catcher department and in the offensive line department. Um, and to be honest, over 48 seems reasonable.
Yeah.
It's South Carolina's disappointing even Georgia fans.
Yeah. My nephew said South Carolina was going to go 12-0 and see us in Atlanta because he believed in Lenore Sellers so much. And I
I
tried to tell
believe in
him,
Lenore Sellers. I don't believe
yeah,
in anybody else on the offense.
yeah, nobody can win on their own.
No,
Not even a Heisman caliber guy like Lenore Sellers.
no.
And as a side note for this week, Arkansas is playing against Memphis. If you saw what Memphis's coach said about Georgia this week, Hogs by a million.
Yeah. These are the type of games that Sam Pittman wins.
Mm-hmm.
Wins convincingly. And also, Taylor Green has the most yards responsible for in college football so far. Uh,
Yeah.
so, like I'll get into it in my best bets, but I'm putting a little bit on this one.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of best bets, here's ones you definitely. I was gonna say you definitely shouldn't take. All of us are sitting kind of near 500 right now, which is the worst place to be if you're gonna give betting advice.
It is. But
But
I will
we're gonna give
say,
it.
throughout last season, we were all around between 650 and 800. So,
Oh, that I was the opposite, which is still,
okay,
if you're gonna take betting advice, you could take if you could take the opposite of somebody, that's still pretty good.
that's true.
This week, this is my Todd Grantham pick of the week. Tulsa team total over 20.5 because they're playing Oklahoma State. Pretty simple. Syracuse versus Clemson. I like the under a lot in this one. Both of these teams have been a little anemic when it comes to scoring points. So give me the under give me the under rather on that one. 55.5 just seems like a lot for this game. Especially, I think it's at Death Valley. I'm not 100%. Sorry, fake Death Valley. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where it is. And then Oklahoma against Auburn. I like Oklahoma's team total going over 27.5. I didn't take the spread in this one because, or the regular total because, like I said, it all seemed right around correct. I do think Oklahoma um, will score at least 28 points in this game. NC State is an underdog against Duke this weekend. Duke has been my bandwagon team, and they've absolutely failed me. So this is a revenge pick. NC State +3.
That's what Mike did against Texas Tech.
Yeah, and then I think both of us have this one. Miami -7.5.
Yeah,
Come on now.
yeah. So starting mine off, Arkansas taking an alternate line, but -6.5. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown. And the alt line is -140 versus -110. I give up those extra 30 odds points to get a line that I like better. Um, Taylon Green, Arkansas quarterback, 1+ touchdown, -167. That's a little bit on the steeper odds end, but 2+ touchdowns was minus or +300. Didn't like that. So
Yeah.
so I'll take 1+. I got Miami -7.5, and then for the my bandwagon teams game, I got Arizona State at Baylor over 59.5. Not a best bet. I do think Baylor wins this game. They are favored at home. Arizona State just thoroughly unimpressed me this year with
Yeah.
especially what they showed offensively against Mississippi State a couple weeks back. And then I got Stanford at Virginia over 50.
This is the disgusting game to bet
It is the real like degeneracy here. I'm just
on.
entirely honest. But
I'm not sure which
Virginia,
work, this one or your next one.
no, Virginia is much more disgusting.
True.
But Virginia scored a lot of points this year. Like 48 week one Coastal Carolina, 31 in a loss to NC State, 55 beating William and Mary. I know it's William and Mary. We're on the same page there, y'all. But the point is
Stanford ain't
they
much better than William and Mary. So,
yeah, that's kind of the point. Is Stanford better than any of those three teams that I just talked about?
and will any of their defensive linemen do a TikTok dance after a sack?
Um, Stanford did beat Boston College last week, and their
Okay.
offense does appear to show up against defenses that aren't great. So, 35. I mean, are we talking 35-20? Not out of the question.
Yeah. It's reasonable.
And I got Western Kentucky -10. That is my principal bet of the week or principal bet of the year. I would go the over on that game, but I didn't really like it. And also this week specifically, Nevada lost to Middle Tennessee State last week,
Mm,
and they're going across the country to play one of the best group of five offenses that we've seen in a very long time
yeah.
in Western Kentucky. So like that is a legitimate. I am excited about that pick. And then it looks like we're getting some bets put in here for Mike. So
No, I'm putting it for him because
I
he
know,
didn't do any.
I know,
So Mike is saying Florida money line, Memphis money line, and Tulane money line this week.
and I believe he's actually taking the bye week money line over Georgia.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he thinks Georgia's going 7-5, so we got to get that one. Yeah. Mike, you're gonna get the bell of shame or whatever we do whenever you don't put in your best bets, and that's gonna be that.
Or he just has that little confidence. He doesn't have any best bet.
I mean, he did pretty well last week, so he should give us some more. But
That's true.
he also went 0 for the week before that. So
All right, y'all. That's gonna do it for this episode. I just want to remind y'all again to come out and hang out with us at Rock House on Tybee for the watch parties. We are trying to turn the Rock House into Tybee's destination for football. They have Sunday ticket on Sundays, and we're making sure that the college football Saturdays are just as good. So get out there and hang out with us. Um, ooh, train of thought gone, derailed. Oof. Follow us on social media at Nothing Not Finder Pod on Instagram, at FinderPod on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Just look us up. You can find us there. And most importantly, always remember, y'all, there's nothing finer in the land.
then a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan, Billy Napier, is gonna be gone soon, ain't he?